Hey, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Family Tech Guys. I am your host, Ray Brown. I am joined by my co host, Tech Guy Nate, and
What's
this is the
going
show.
on? Oh,
What's going
sorry,
on,
sorry.
Nate?
No, go ahead, go
No,
ahead,
no,
go ahead.
no, 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 no. I thought you said, hold on. No, no. So, this is the show where Nate and I recorded live now. So, all of these slip ups and mess ups will still be in there. But this is the show where we talk about technology and family, and we help family tech guys and gals alike, all tech savvy parents out there alike, um, keep you up to speed on what's going on and also talk to you about implementing technology into family life and so on. And on today's show, we are going to talk about password sharing becoming a federal crime. And also, what's the deal with Verizon's new pricing? Is it going up or did it go down? And knowing Verizon, you already know the answer to that question. But
Wait, what?
also,
Is
toy
anything? Go ahead.
no, no. So toys versus apps. I have an interesting story to tell, and it's kind of like a revelation that I came to, and I want to get Nate's opinion on it, and also messaging apps. It seems like, especially with Facebook Messenger, that all messaging apps now are going end-to-end encryption and doing something to where you can have secret messages, and it's just going to become the new normal. And if so, what's going to happen with like CyberDust and other apps? But we'll discuss that and much more. Nate, what's up, man?
What's going on, Ray? Another week. I've been dealing with this mixer on the computer, and you were waiting on me for like 20 minutes to get the show started, but it's been fun. It's been a good week. What happened this week? I mean, besides all the stuff we kind of discussed earlier in the news, but don't want to jump into all
Right.
the
Yeah.
political and it just it's exhausting, man. But just where's the love? That's all I gotta say. Where's the love?
Yes.
But no, I'm excited to jump on and talk about some of this technology news this week. So which one are we gonna jump into first?
Well,
Which one
let's
do you
talk
want to?
about. You know what? I'll go ahead and tell my story.
All right, let's do that. Let's
All
do
right.
that.
So I had a friend over, and this friend does not have any children. So just to put that into context, I'm 30.
Oh, it's one of those people.
Right, right. Just turned 28.
Lucky. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah,
I'm kidding.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
kidding.
28, not married, no children. Although he is in a very serious relationship, and I think he's getting the child itch, which is probably why he started spending more time with me recently. But I don't know.
Want to testing out, see what it
Yeah,
feels
yeah,
like to have kids
exactly.
running around.
Yeah, exactly. Because him and I met when we met years, probably about no, probably about five or 60 years ago. When we met when I was working at Sprint, and we became like really good friends. So yeah, he's seen me go from just lucky in our first daughter to now having three children. And so yeah, he's been with me through that whole transition. But he was sitting on my sofa and we were talking, and my three girls were excuse me, sorry, hey, this is loud. So I just so I had pizza for breakfast, and
What?
yeah, I did.
What?
Listen, today's my cheat day, and so
No, I mean a lot of people do that cold pizza for breakfast.
right.
It used to be one of Amber's staples, so I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna.
And then I'm drinking this smoothie from Smoothie Factory. It's a green smoothie. It's like, I think it's ginger berry green, something like that. Um,
Pizza and smoothie, awesome.
yeah, hey, I gotta balance it out. Gotta balance it out.
Oh no, good stuff. So what
Nah,
was on this
so
story?
he's sitting on my sofa, and Nate, I don't have cable. I have Apple TV, and he know what Apple TV is, but he doesn't have one. So I was showing him the different apps on Apple TV that I have, and we'll talk about password sharing a little
Yeah,
later.
that's gonna be at the end of the show. But
Right,
yeah.
right, right. But so I was showing him the different apps that I have on Apple TV and Apple Music, Netflix, Hulu, and a lot of the educational apps that I have for the girls. And what he noticed was he saw a living room full of toys, but the girls were more engaged with their iPad and with Apple TV than they were their actual toys. And most of the toys, honestly, so my oldest is 5 and my youngest will be a year in about a month. So what he noticed was, he said, a lot of these toys you had when your oldest was a child or was a baby. And I said, yeah, you're right. I haven't bought many toys since then just because they get bored with them quickly. And he said, yeah, he said, and I see that you have more apps and stuff for them. And I thought about that and it dawned on me. And I was like, you know what? The major difference, I was like, I do spend more money on apps than I spend on actual toys. And if you think about a toy stays the same for the entire time that you own it, but an app continues to change. And I made the statement to him. I was like, I didn't even think about that, but you can't upgrade a toy, but you can upgrade an app, right? Like the app can continue to get better. The app can change the aesthetics, the color of it. Like take Instagram for example, how the logo and everything changed. But an app can continue to be updated. It can add new features, can be added, new levels can be added. The look, the color of it, the feel of it can be changed over time. That can't happen with a toy. And so I wanted to pose the question to you, Nate. What do you think parents should invest in more, or what do you think about that, like toys versus apps now for children, which is almost like a hardware versus software conversation that we always have.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what's your take on that?
No, it's actually a good question. Now, I still also believe in a lot of the hands-on kind of. It kind of depends on what the toy's intention is for me.
Yeah.
Like for instance, my daughter's in gymnastics, and I guess you wouldn't classify this as a toy, but we got her a little mat to practice her cartwheels on and stuff like that. But that's not more of a toy though. That's more, I guess, of a sport accessory. But
Yeah.
obviously there's no substitute for that. Um, I also think there is a little bit of difference. Like my daughter she watches the iPad and plays with that quite a bit.
Yeah.
When she's not in like the 5 activities she's doing all the time. So I don't want to make it sound like it's 24/7, but she does like to watch her shows and stuff on it occasionally. Whatever, through Netflix Kids or something like that.
Yeah.
And then occasionally she uses some of the educational apps. She's like 50-50, I'd say. But she also extensively plays with her toys. She likes to build little houses and forts and, you know what I mean? Put the blankets over them, put the
Right.
dolls in there. They're in the house. So it's hard to say. I'm trying to look at her use case to see which one she uses more. I definitely, there is benefits to the toys being updated and stuff like that, but or to the apps. That's a good question. I don't know. What are some of your initial thoughts? Maybe it'll spur some more ideas.
Well, yeah. So I definitely think that that apps is like a growing phenom with parents. With toys, I do agree with you, and they need something that they can play in their hands, something that they can break, something that they can pretty much alter, or something that they can build. I definitely think that that's a staple. And so like we
Yeah, yeah,
have, yeah, we have like little imagination type toys where, and if I wasn't so tethered into like my mixer and everything, I would pick up my laptop and actually go in the living room right now. What you will find is, so here's the deal. We bought a bunk bed a while back for for my oldest and my middle child to sleep in. And what we found is at the top of the bunk bed never got slept in. The oldest and the middle child would just sleep together on the bottom. So what I did is, oh, and also the top became just a haven for their for their clothes when they can get out of the dryer and just dump the clothes on the top bunk and then we'll fold them later and so on. And just because
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
there's so many little baby clothes around here. Um, but what I did is I took the top bunk off the bunk bed and so, and I put it in the garage. I disassembled it, stuck it in the garage. The mattress, though, has become our oldest and the middle child their gymnastics pad, pretty much. And it's not a thick mattress; it's like a little thin mattress that just go on the
Yeah.
top of a bunk bed, and they use that to turn flips on. Whenever my oldest wants to practice cheerleading and my wife and I pick her up to put her on a pyramid, then like kind of bounce her down and so on. We do it on the mattress, and so yeah, like you said, you went and bought your daughter a little pad. We did the same exact thing for ours, but we just took a mattress. But
Yeah.
now, as far as the toys, we do have building blocks that they love to play with. we have like this little house that have different things on it. It's pretty much just like a wall with a door, and they love going through the door. They love playing on each side, and and role playing. We bought for Christmas, my oldest, we bought her like this big Monster High. I don't know if you know what Monster High is, but we bought her like this Monster High school that's, I think it stands about 4.5 feet tall and it's huge, and there's like different classrooms and scenes, and
Yeah.
they love playing with that. That I think is great for hands-on, but for a lot of other things, they really engage with their apps on another level. They do.
Yeah, and I guess ultimately to answer your question, for me, now that I think about it, it's I try not to put myself in those like an either or situation.
Yeah,
Like
you do both.
I just look at, well, what's going to be the best tool to facilitate the best experience for whatever she's trying to accomplish is really how I look at it. So whether in this situation, maybe I feel like she can learn better using an educational iPad app. Maybe there's another one where like getting an actual workbook and having her fill out the pages on it might be better. So I think ultimately that's where I stand in terms of the apps versus toys, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of times they're even great to use in conjunction with each other. Like I said, she'll post the iPad out and watch the show, but she sets her babies up in a situation where they're watching the shows with her or something like that. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like this creative or imaginative, I guess you would say. Different scenarios. I don't know. She likes doing some of that imagination stuff. So like all kids, right? So I just try to
Right.
let her do do whatever she wants with that. But
Yeah. My children do the same exact thing. I don't know if you saw, but I posted on Snapchat, I think like a week ago. We were all out in the driveway with chalk, driving on a drawing on the driveway. We literally covered probably from where the garage starts to where the street is, covered our entire driveway with nothing but like tic tac toe, SOS, pictures of us, pictures of dogs, and everything. My children now are really into Zootopia, and I love the movie Zootopia. It is so awesome. I love that movie.
it's a good movie.
So yeah, so we started drawing like bunny hops, and I think the guy name is Nick Wild the
Hmm.
fox.
Yeah, Nick
Yeah,
Wilde.
and started drawing Chief Bogo. Started drawing Chief Bogo. It was so fun. And what the oldest did, she took her doll and she set her doll on the trunk of my wife's car facing us so she could watch us play.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, all right, all right. So yeah, when you said that your daughter sit the dolls on, they watch TV with her, I was like, yeah, my children sometimes do the same
Yeah,
exact thing.
yeah. So yeah, it's always hard. I know if he's actually your friend, if he's prospective parent coming up,
Yeah.
whenever your first kid's coming, you do, all that research and what you need to be a good parent, and you get all the reading in and all that stuff. But once you become a parent, you realize, oh, it's just trial and error, man.
Yeah, exactly,
It's
exactly.
just a whole bunch of trial and error, and that first year you get to do trial and error with no sleep, so it's fun.
Yeah, and honestly, and this is the last thing I'll say about this before we move on to the next. That's why I think that I want to start a vlog for Family Tech Guys, because I want to use the technology. Like I want to be a crash dummy or a guinea pig and use and test the technology by trial and error to see what works and what doesn't work, or to see what I can improve or different ways that we can improve, and just take all of the technology we have in our lives and just really get down to, is this a benefit or is this a burden, and
Yeah, yeah.
or how can I use it better. And then I want to do like case studies with other families, maybe go over to their house and interview them about all of the technology that they have in their house and how they use it. So I don't know, that's something that I've been thinking about.
No,
And
it's
this
a good
whole
idea. I think you
yeah,
just sold yourself a drone too. You need a drone to follow you around. I mean, you need a second camera angle for every shot. So just throwing it out there, you need a
yeah, you're
drone,
right,
man.
I do. Get somebody to sponsor that. But so moving on, let's hit on Verizon's new pricing, and then
Let's
uh
do it.
I think we can talk about messaging apps and then passwords, and then if we have time, we'll get to a few other things. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, we got time, so let's do it. Let's talk about Verizon.
All right. So Verizon, I am a Verizon customer, so this is near and dear to my heart. Nathan, you have another carrier. So, um,
At
yeah,
hot? No,
yeah,
it's
right, right.
AT&T.
Actually, yeah, that's based here in Dallas, AT&T. So, Verizon, there's been a lot of talk this past week about Verizon raising their prices. And, I really love uh I really love T-Mobile's marketing. T-Mobile's marketing is freaking awesome. Their CEO is great. And so I'm going to just quickly read T-Mobile's perspective of it, and then I'll read what was myth versus reality with Verizon. But I'm a Verizon customer. I have three lines with them, my wife and I, and then we have an iPad connected. Um, and so these price hikes, and Nathan, I tell you, our bill every month is about $300. And it's because
Good God.
both of our iPads, we did the payment installment thing, so that way we can upgrade them just in case.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah, just in case Apple come out with a better iPad, I want to be able to upgrade mine, and which you know that they will. But so anyway, so that's why our bill is just the way that it is. But I mean, even I think without that, we'll probably pay about maybe 250, maybe something like that. But anyway, so um, Verizon said that their prices. So here's what it says. It's a tweet that says. Now I don't know how to pronounce T-Mobile CEO. His last name is like Jean Leger, I think it
Yeah,
is.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but he tweeted out, "At Verizon creates pain points, then charges more to solve the pain points created. Where have I heard of this business model before? Hashtag Sopranos." So what he's saying is that Verizon create problems for their customers and then charge their customers to solve those problems. And that's like the
Oh
Sopranos. Yeah.
man,
Yeah, and so
that
I
mob mentality there.
Right, right, exactly. But so here's just a little bit of what T-Mobile's article, and in the article, the link will be in the show notes. But if you go to newsroom.tmobile.com, you should be able to find this. So it says Verizon promised to unveil fireworks this week. The news is out, and it's fireworks indeed, expensive fireworks. Verizon has raised prices on its already pricey plans while adding a shakedown mode, otherwise known as safety mode, and a few uncarrier knockoffs. So T-Mobile, they branded themselves as the uncarrier, and they do a lot of things. And so anyway, it says here's three things you should know about Verizon's news today. Number one, Verizon remains the undisputed leader in one thing: high prices. Number two, safe mode is more like shakedown mode. And I'll read to you what T-Mobile says shakedown mode is. And so it says this is the height of carrier insanity. They're actually charging their customers $5 not to overcharge them later. Verizon is the playground bully who promises not to beat up their customers in exchange for their lunch money. To commemorate the insanity, the T-Mobile CEO, John Legere, is giving away an iPhone SE to whoever can come up with the best caption to the cartoon graphic below. Search hashtag Verizon Bully on Twitter or visit John Legere's Facebook page to view the hundreds of entries. So what Verizon did is, I mean, with T-Mobile, they came out with this picture with a big guy on a playground with a Verizon shirt on, holding this other little kid upside down
Like a bully.
by the leg. Yeah, and the little kid has a shirt on that says "customer" with a $5 bill falling out of his pocket.
So let me get this straight, just so I understand
Yeah.
and to reiterate for the audience. Basically, what's happening is Verizon charges you if you go over your data limit, right? That's the
Hmm.
initial idea. That's
Yeah.
the problem that they've chosen to charge you if
Right.
you go over your limit. And the idea is now they're going to charge you $5 extra a month to protect you if you go over your limit. Is that how it's working?
Right. The $5 a month may be like a cap to where you can't use your data.
Yeah, so
Um.
that they'll
Yeah.
actually help you so you don't get an overage kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
And T-Mobile saying they just do that.
Well, yeah, because I think T-Mobile have
Yeah,
unlimited data. Um, but I think they just throttle you. But Verizon actually keep your speeds the same and just charge you extra.
gotcha.
Like they charge you $15 per extra gig.
Okay, I'm just trying to reiterate
Oh
what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking
No,
about.
no,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely.
So that's the
Yeah, that's second. And so number three, it just says a wolf in sheep's clothing. Verizon wants customers to think it's giving their customers a good deal when in reality, these moves are just thinly disguised ruse. We see you, Verizon, Big Reds, not only raising prices, they're charging a shakedown fee, which is trumpeting a 30-day, 30-day rollover data. So Verizon is going to do 30-day rollover data, which AT&T already does. T-Mobile is saying this is just them trying to create something to make customers less angry about their overages and so
hmm.
on. So yeah.
I
Now go ahead, go
yeah,
ahead.
I was gonna say I kind of agree, but I think even T-Mobile suffers from these plans. All the carriers, the plans are just too complex. Like I think most people you could fall in like probably like three categories when it comes to subscribing to data on your phone. You either want unlimited, no issues, or you want some type of actually probably two, some type of limited plan. And if you go over, you want it to just be a reasonable if it's a reasonable price and you went over, then like you know what I mean? Like just I just don't understand why it has to be so complex just from any of these companies. Maybe T-Mobile's got the closest representation of what I'm talking about, but
Yeah.
it's just come on. Like I think most people want this service. They want to pay for this service. You know what I mean? Like just
Right.
charge us a good price, like whatever your company needs to make whatever profit you're wanting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And let us move forward. Like you don't see all these other companies when you subscribe to Netflix. You know what I mean? It's not like oh, and if you watched 11 movies this month, then we're going to charge you an extra movie for the 11th movie, but
Right.
an extra dollar would mean we don't charge you. You know what I mean? Like, give me a break.
Yeah. Or the same thing with like an Apple Music, a Spotify, or
Yeah.
whatever else. You pay your flat fee and you do as much as you want. Even if you listen to one album the entire month, right? You pay the same amount on if you listen to, let's say, a million albums over the course of that month, you get
Yeah,
charged the same amount. But so,
yeah.
okay, so here's Verizon's answer, and excuse me, in all fairness to Verizon, it can be found at verizon.com/news. If you go there, that's Verizon's blog, and they have an article on there that's titled "Myth versus Reality." Um, so here it is right here. Myth: Verizon is raising prices with its new plans. Reality: the price per gig is lower across the board. The price went from $30 to $17.50 per gig on the small end. So they're just talking about it. Now, there's a graphic on this blog that, and the link will be in the show notes. Just go to family.techguys.com, click on podcast, and you'll see this episode. Now, so it used to be 1 gig was $30. Now 2 gigs is $35. So basically, I'm not going to go through each and every one of these, but yes, Verizon did raise their prices, but they also increased the gigs. Like, um, you know, 3 gigs was $45. Now it's 4 gigs for $50. That's why um, all the articles or the news that you probably read said Verizon is increasing their plans like $5 and $10. On the extra large plan, it went from 12 gigs for $80 to 16 gigs for $90. So it went up $10, but your gigs increased about $4
Okay, so I see. So
and
the
it's so,
the price of the plans increased, but
but the
along with
gigs did
it,
also.
you got more storage, and in the end, you're paying less per dollar per amount of storage.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Well. Yeah. Yeah. Per gig for internet usage.
Yeah, so
All right.
that's okay.
Yeah. And so here's I'm gonna do like two or three other myths. Because this is pretty much a direct answer to T-Mobile's post that I just read. So it says myth: Verizon is copying the competition with including carryover and safety mode. Verizon's competitors offer the same type of plans but for less money. So that's the myth. Here's what Verizon says the reality is. No other wireless company can offer their entire package. We bring together options customers tell us they want in a new plan with incredible value and a new My Verizon app that puts you in control, all on the best network. I would say I don't know about that. I mean, I don't care about a new Verizon app and the entire package. I think every carrier offers their quote unquote entire package. So I don't know about that. But another myth: safety mode is throttling. All right, reality: safety mode is not throttling. You can choose safety mode to slow your speeds and avoid overage charges. once you've used your data for the month, or you can change your plan size, or you get a data boost. The discount carriers automatically slow you down when you reach your data limit. So I guess what this is saying is that safety mode is not throttling; it's more so you can slow your speeds down and avoid
Which
overcharges.
is
Yeah,
throttling.
which is throttling once you've used your data for the month. So I guess what Verizon is saying is that, like, let's say that I have a plan, a 10 gig plan, and I've exceeded that 10 gigs, or I'm right at it, unless I have 5 days left in a month. Instead of me using those same speeds and potentially use having two
Racking up a
gigs of
yeah.
overage, now I can slow my speeds and only have like half of a gig of overage,
Yeah,
which,
that's a
yeah,
fine feature, but at the end of the day, like just make that a feature of your service. Why are you charging extra for it?
right, right.
Like
And
that should just be
then,
built in, man.
yeah,
Or is that what they're doing? They're charging extra for it?
yeah, $5, I
five
believe.
bucks. Oh man, it's
I
just
think so. Yeah, I think. And I could be wrong about that. Let me. I don't see anything about it on here, and so maybe not. Maybe it's just something that they're um added on. Blah blah blah. Is not
no.
available.
But overall, I mean, whatever. Like
Yeah.
the prices and stuff's all gonna adjust and change, and copying other people. That's what every industry does
Oh,
ever.
of course.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like that's if I don't know, every single one of these carriers are going to copy each other. I mean, AT&T and Verizon are notorious for basically running the exact same plans.
Right. It's called
Yeah,
setting the market. You have
yeah,
one carrier that comes out, they come out with a feature, right? And they create a bunch of buzz. The other carriers sit back and pretty much watch the what the consumer response is. And if the response is large enough, then yes, they go ahead and act. And if you think about it, Apple does the same thing. I feel
yeah.
like when it
Everyone
comes to
does.
Samsung and Verizon, to where Apple sit back for sometime years, 2 and 3 years, and let all these other manufacturers like HTC, Motorola, Samsung, LG, and then Google come out with these features and pretty much set the market, and then Apple come out with it and make it seem, bigger and better. And so yeah, I mean, it happens all the time.
I'm
But
glad there's a company like T-Mobile in the mix, though. That's more of a disruptor,
right.
trying to do things a little bit differently from a different perspective and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
I am thankful. Is T-Mobile still the number 3? Are they still ahead of Sprint at this point?
Yes. Yeah, I think they're definitely still ahead of Sprint.
Yeah. So I mean, Sprint. I mean, you see them. I guess I don't. That's my first cell phone company was Sprint.
Yeah.
When I worked at CompUSA, they were actually like corporate partners with Sprint,
Oh,
and so we got to have the corporate cost. So I had a cell phone, and I don't even know if they had data back then, but it was like $15 a month is what I was paying for
man, it's
like
pretty
a couple
good.
of years for my cell
Yeah.
phone bill, unlimited stuff. So it's
Those were the good old
yeah,
days.
that was the good old days, man. I wish I could still have that. No, actually, they broke that corporate partnership even while I worked there. So a lot of us
Yeah.
were bummed. But
Right.
no, that's I don't know. It's standard stuff when it comes to the cell phone carriers. Like
Yeah.
it seems like they always try to make if we look back, I almost guarantee this is the case, but a few months during the summer before the iPhones come out,
Hmm.
the carriers all do these like big adjustments. Like this is the time you see them where
Right.
they
Right.
cut the 2-year contract or they do these
Yeah.
data plan adjustments. They try to get all these changes in place. I feel like for the big, wave of new iPhones that people are going to buy and put on their plans. So it seems like this is what they're doing. Verizon's adjusting. I wouldn't be surprised if AT&T adjusted next week, literally, on some things.
Yeah.
uh, and yeah, we'll see what happens. And then it's all shaking out for September or so, when 2 months from now, when Apple is assumingly releasing the iPhone 7. So
Right, right. Well, go ahead and introduce the or talk about the news surrounding end-to-end encryption on messaging apps.
so yeah, it seems like every app. And I'm not even 100%. I don't think. I'm not sure if Apple's iMessage is end-to-end encryption right now, or if that's default. It seems like it probably would be. Apple's on that lines, but
Hmm.
Facebook Messenger is one of the newest apps coming along that is offering end-to-end encryption. with like a feature called Secret Conversations, I believe was the name that they're using for it. Um, and there's a lot of apps that do this. Signal by was it Open Whisper Systems or something like that. There's
Yeah.
CyberDust, um, Telegram. I think you could even do some secret conversations and whatnot. Of course, Snapchat was kind
Yes.
of one of the it's more video based instead of text messaging based. But so these kind of apps have been around for a while, and it looks like Facebook is going to be following suit. It's going to probably roll out. Facebook likes to roll out their stuff like Facebook Live, all their new features to a select groups of individuals first. But by the end of summer, I believe it's probably going to be for all Facebook Messenger users. Um, but yeah, it's just basically having one-on-one secret conversations with people that are end-to-end encrypted. So, um, and it's done in such a way, I believe, like even if law enforcement asks for it, like Facebook can't actually give them. You know, that's the whole thing with CyberDust. Mark Cuban's the one that backs that one, and he didn't like court systems getting access to every conversations you know what I mean, those kind of
Yeah.
things. So that's kind of the idea. I don't know. It's that same thing on what a lot of people say is, well, I have nothing to hide, or why should you have something to hide? Then why are you using this? But versus I don't know. It's the idea of, but should courts have access to every conversation you had, or, I just, if someone was recording or had access to every conversation you had, Ray, I mean, or anyone, everyone's gonna seem probably like a terrible person at times, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. There. I mean, there are some that I would like to think that I'm as transparent and I'm the same person behind closed doors or when I'm talking to my friends. Um, I would like to think that I'm the same person all the time, but I'm just not. I mean, there's a certain comfort level that comes from talking to people that you really know. I mean, there are things I would talk to my friends about that I wouldn't dare say around my mother. There are things that I wouldn't dare say publicly, but um, if yeah, I mean, if my convers now, granted, I'm not having these conversations over Facebook Messenger. I don't know,
Yeah, that's
maybe
true.
yeah,
Well, I think there is a lot of people that
but
do
then
use
yeah,
Facebook Messenger as another form of just text messaging nowadays.
yeah,
Everyone's
I
on
do agree with
Facebook,
that. Yeah,
and so like this is probably I can see a lot of people using this now um to have some of those conversations. So I don't know.
yeah, I will tell you this on where is it on Instagram, all of my friends and I so whenever we see like funny Instagram posts or just Instagram posts that we want to talk about, we have a group within our messages on Instagram. And so on an Instagram post, there's a heart, there's a bubble to comment, and then there's a share or send to. We tap on send to and we send it to our private group that we have on there. And there's probably some things in there that I wouldn't want to be public. Now, granted, it is on Instagram, so I am running that risk. But I'm pretty sure a lot of stuff like that happens in Facebook also, to where I don't know, like it may be a group of 4 or 5 people. They may have a private message, or they may have a message in Facebook Messenger that they send different posts to. Like, can you believe this person commented and said that, or and different things of that nature. So yeah, I'm sure a little bit of that goes down, happens
Yeah,
in
and
Facebook
I just
Messenger.
kind of reading the technology they're using behind Facebook, this new secret conversations. They're actually using the same technology of actually what I was mentioning earlier by Open Whisper Systems, which is
Uh-huh.
there's an app called Signal that uses it, but it must be an open source kind of software that Facebook Messenger is implementing the exact same thing. I mean, I believe Signal is one of the apps that even someone like an Edward Snowden is
Oh, really?
recommends, or you know what I mean. So that's interesting. Facebook's taking that approach. So I think Facebook Messenger is probably going to be much more utilized. Now, I don't know how it ties into. I think it was saying something along the lines like you won't be able to do all the rich messaging conversations, meaning like
Yeah.
maybe GIFs and stuff like that. Right now, it might just be limited to text only. And all the new features with Facebook Messenger, including bots and all this stuff as well. I don't
Mhm.
know if all that stuff's supported in secret conversations and stuff like that yet, but um, I guess it's just it's going to be a feature rolled out to a messaging platform that millions, technically probably even close to billions. I mean, it's a ton of people are using Facebook Messenger. So
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, if you're into the secret conversations or like I'm trying to think of the scenarios when something's just it doesn't have to be like this like crazy thing you're trying to keep from the NSA or something, but when something's just a little bit more sensitive, I don't know, maybe you're discussing something with your wife, discussing something with you, but
Yeah,
you know what I
definitely.
mean, or I don't know. I mean, we talk about all kinds of ramifications that are, with our children using social media on some levels,
Right,
like
right.
and how it affects, them getting jobs at some point. Well, maybe it's a good idea for them to use it for, when they're just becoming of drinking age or something, or maybe they're partying or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
stuff that everyone has done, but nowadays you get shaken down for, like, oh my God, you're not a good person because you went out and drank and partied.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure in the future, like right now, it's still a shock, but I'm sure in the future, like we'll become numb to it and we'll be like, oh, so yeah, that person got drunk and posted something on Facebook. They're human. We all have done it before. Like it's
Yeah,
gonna
so
become the new norm.
but yeah, I don't know. I've always, me and Facebook, I've always had an interesting,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like I've always criticized them for a lot of things, but
Oh,
implementing
speaking
that,
of,
yeah.
speaking of, I hate to like dovetail into this, but I thought about that. Um, about how much, not how much you dislike Facebook, but how with the whole information thing. You know, I live here in Dallas, and the tragedy happened where the officers got shot by a sniper. Some died, some made it through. I'm sure with injuries being shot by a sniper. But uh, let me tell you how I found out about it, because it happened around I think 9 o'clock at night. My wife and I don't have cable, so we mostly only watch Apple TV, and there's really no local news stations on there. And so my wife and I had just put the girls down to sleep. Um, we put the girls to sleep in our bed. That's the only way that they'll go to sleep sometimes. And so um, I was in the living room, sitting on the floor, waiting for her to come in there so we can get on our laptops and talk a little bit, and then just watch TV and put TV on in the background. I happened to take out my phone, and I went to Twitter, and Dallas was trending number one. El Centro College was trending four. I think the Omni Hotel was trending three. And there's like six different Dallas type places that was trending. Six of the top 10 was like Dallas stuff. And I was like, man, what the heck? Like, what's going on? Why is Dallas trending? So I tapped on it and I saw that these officers were shot. So I turned it on the local news and I saw it. And then so my wife came in there. And so then after that, the news, then Nathan, crazy thing. So one news station was reporting one thing, the next news station was reporting something completely different, right? So I don't know if you heard, but there was this guy in a camouflage shirt that had this, I think, an AR-15 on him. He was walking with it. One news station, I'm not going to say what news station it was, but one news station was reporting that this guy, they actually used the term suspect. They were saying this guy is a suspect. Another news station I turned to had the guy's brother saying he's not a suspect. I recorded a video on my cell phone of once shots happen, I told him, hey, turn your gun into the police. So there was actual video of him turning his gun, giving his gun to a police, and a police giving him a little white sheet of paper saying, here, you can pick your gun up at the police station. I guess like he wrote a number or something on it. So the guy wasn't a suspect, and the guy ended up turning himself in. 30 minutes later, after the first news station reported this, the other news station was still saying that the guy's a suspect. Then they changed it to a point of interest. I say all of this to say that obviously I, for the most part, I can't trust what I hear on these news stations because they each have their own agenda. I went to Facebook and I was like, I know that Facebook are pretty much I can get a better sense of what's going on by going there. So I'm scrolling through my wall. All of my friends are posting different things that actually went to the protest. I didn't. And then I'm looking at the Facebook trending news. There's live video. It said something like tragedy in Dallas, and it had like a little red box under it that said live. I tapped on it. Facebook had a bunch of live feeds there that I can go and watch. It was completely awesome. And I'm like, Facebook pretty soon is going to become my number one news source, not only because of live video, but because I get to instantly see. not only people's firsthand experience, but I also get to see different publications that's posting different things just by hashtagging like Dallas tragedy or Officer Down, something like that. Then I never even knew Facebook had this feature. There was a feature that you can say, hey, so there was a geo fence. It showed a map, and there was a circle around the map that said, hey, you are in a tragedy area. Tap here to let everyone know that you're okay. And you can go there and you can tap, I'm okay. And it shows a map with the tragedy there. And so scrolling through my news feed, I saw some people that actually attended the protest that their wall said "I'm okay," and then it had pretty much the map of where the tragedy was. And I was like, Facebook instantly is gonna just become the go-to source for everything. Because imagine if there's an earthquake or tornado, a mass shooting, or just whatever, you can go to Facebook and you can instantly let people know that you're okay. And I like it was just awesome. So I thought about that and I was and yeah, I want to share that with you. It completely slipped my radar when I was
Yeah,
talking about what we're gonna
and
discuss
that's
today.
using
But yeah,
Facebook
it's
as a
good.
consumption tool versus an input tool,
True,
right?
true.
You know,
Yeah.
so and I've used it for that. And Twitter has actually got a lot of really cool stuff with that too. They have the new Moments
Yeah.
tab. I don't know if
That
you
is true. Yeah, and I didn't
took a
even
look at that,
look at moments that night. I should
but
have.
that's where I saw, and it's a lot of the same things. You can see all
Yeah.
these different perspectives. You can click on it too, like it'll talk about the shooting. Um, you click on it, and then you just scroll to the right or left or whatever,
Yeah.
and it has all these tweets on the different people, perspectives, videos, all that kind of things of what's happening right there in the app. So yeah, the just I would say social networks in general, well, not in general, Facebook and Twitter probably specifically
Right.
are becoming these really great sources for like live up to date. Of course, Twitter has Periscope built in, so
True,
you
true.
get the same live aspects in a lot of sense. So I'm not trying to like take Facebook's thunder, but no, I'm just saying Facebook
No,
and
yeah.
Twitter are probably real similar. Now I don't know if Twitter has like some of the advanced like map thing. That sounds kind of cool,
Yeah.
but that's exactly where I seen it. And when I tweeted you, I forget when I tweeted you about it, but
Yeah, it was like I think at 1 o'clock in the morning. My time, maybe 11 yours.
yeah, yeah. So it was shortly after. I was like, dang, what's
Yeah.
going on? But I think social networks are like they're so efficient at delivering the news
In real time,
fast.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, you like in yeah, exactly real time, almost faster than any news agency can report. And that's why I think CNN even had like I remember a while back they had like a thing so you can submit videos to them via their app or something like that. That way they can get more real time news. But no one's gonna sit there like, let
Right.
me open my CNN
Man
app
app,
and
yeah.
deliver them some video. No, it's
Unless I was like, you know what, I'm gonna become a CNN correspondent, and I'm just gonna
yeah.
come here and just like go around
Now
interviewing people
I
submitted
haven't
to CNN.
I haven't watched the actual news in a while. Like actually,
Yeah.
I don't have cable, but I wonder how much of that now is supplemented by probably taking someone's video and pictures of events like this off
True.
of other social media accounts. You know what I mean? Not it's
You're right.
not footage they filmed. I bet you it's footage they just like take,
Yeah.
or I'm assuming they have to ask to use it still. I don't know how that works,
Yeah, me either.
but yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, it that whole phenomenon is pretty interesting, and it definitely seems to be growing. Facebook obviously is more of a leader because they just have a larger user base. I mean,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can't deny 1 point something billion versus Twitter's I don't know 400 or 500 million.
Right.
It's like
Right.
a half or a third of Facebook's users. So just by that alone.
Yeah, definitely. All right, man. So let's switch gears and let's talk about this because I think this is potentially a pretty big news story. But password sharing. Go ahead and talk to us about that. Talk to me about what you know about password sharing because I'm not gonna lie, I'm guilty of it, but I have my reasons as to why, and so I don't know. So yeah, let's get into that. What's the scoop on it?
So basically, there's I'll just read this. I found this little article. I think it was on Vice.com, but talking about password sharing, it said one of the nation's most powerful appeals courts ruled Wednesday that sharing passwords can be a violation of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, which is a catch-all hacking law that has been widely used to prosecute behavior that bears no resemblance to hacking. Um, and in fast forwarding, it said the decision is a nightmare scenario for civil liberty groups who say that such a broad interpretation of the CFAA means that millions of Americans are unwittingly violating federal law by sharing accounts on things like Netflix, HBO, of course, somehow Siri activated there. Things like Netflix, HBO, Spotify, and Facebook. Um, so Reinhardt, the dissenting judge in the case, noted that the decision threatens to criminalize all sorts of innocuous conduct engaged in daily by ordinary citizens. So that's basically the gist behind it. It's part of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, but it's this idea of it's going to be a federal crime to share your passwords, and this probably has ramifications from, like they were saying, Netflix and stuff like that. That's probably a common one, HBO Go or those kind of things. But I'm sure there's all kinds of scenarios where you're sharing passwords with people. I don't know. I don't know what the specifics are. Can you share passwords with your spouse, your kids? Like where are the lines drawn, and how does that work when you just criminalize something that literally uh, everyone does probably on some level.
Right. And I was thinking when I first read this, the first thing that I thought is, okay, now these companies that know that they're losing money, let's take Netflix for example. Let's say Netflix know that they're losing money because let's say one person may share their password with four people when they know that if they found a way to stop it, the other three people would become a Netflix customer, right? So I was like, I guarantee you they're having lobbyists spend money in Washington that's somehow influencing the law to either start enforcing this or to even make it become a law. So I don't know. There may be a little bit of that. I don't know. But when I think about password sharing, I like you. I'm like, wait a minute. I need to know full circle. What does this mean, and what are my limitations? Because here's a few scenarios I thought of. Netflix, for example, right? I share Netflix with my younger brother, and I share Netflix with my mother. They each have a profile on Netflix. Netflix allows up to 5 user profiles. And Netflix, I don't think Netflix specifies on if it's for family or what. If it is for family, guess what? My mother, my brother, they're my family, right? I pay for Netflix. I use it. My wife uses it. Our daughter, she have a profile on there for Netflix kids, and then my brother, my mom. That's 5 people. Now, what can be said? Let's just say there was 5 friends, right? What if those 5 friends said, "Hey, this account doesn't belong to anyone, although it's in someone's name. It doesn't belong to anyone. We all split the bill on it, and we're sharing this account." Are there rules against sharing an account if all parties chip in? And then the ownership of the account is split amongst 5 people, not just one. And let's say all 5 of those people have the password. All right, that's another scenario. Another scenario is, let's just say, like you brought up, Nathan, for your spouse. As far as online bill paying, let's say for my internet account, Time Warner, right? There's no way for me to have an account and my wife to have an account or a login for the same account. So guess
Yeah.
what? She have my login. And sometimes she goes in and she pays the Time Warner bill or look up different things. Sometimes I do. So am I breaking the law because my spouse have my password and she uses the account as much as I do, and we live in the same home, use the same internet, so it's technically hers because we're married, right? So I don't know. Like is I don't know what
Yeah.
the whole password sharing
It's
means. How
it's
do you
kind
interpret it?
it's kind of crazy. Well, I just want to say, so they kind of say at issue here, and remember this is a more of a hacking bill, but
Right.
at issue is the is language in the CFAA that makes it illegal to access a computer system without authorization. And what that means is, this guy said that without authorization, in quotes, is an unambiguous, non-technical term that, given its plain and ordinary meaning means accessing a protected computer without permission. So it's this whole idea about accessing something without authorization or permission. It's kind of the idea around it. And that's where the hacking is. They're trying to like define terms of what it means to hack, I think, on some level, and gaining authorization of someone's computer without whatever. And so I don't know. I don't know how exactly it's like a stretch tying it into this whole password sharing thing, but that's the problem with these just very vague terms, is that's could easily be the case if some company decides to start prosecuting users for sharing passwords. I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't be hard for a Netflix to prove you're sharing passwords. They go, look, this IP's in Dallas and this IP's in California.
Right.
Do you live in both places, or which one do you live in?
Yeah. I'll say, well, I use a VPN, so
So, well, and that's the other thing is, I'm sure Netflix wants to. Well, on some level, they want you to use a VPN on areas and in countries that don't allow you to have a
right.
Netflix account. But
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just very interesting. I don't know what's going to really become of this, to be honest, but that's currently what's going on, and it just seems uh, oh man, just seems like there's more and more laws every day on
Oh yeah.
something.
Yeah, and I think the main issue here, correct me if I'm wrong, Nate, was a case where there was an employee of a company that gave his password to a former employee to access like company documents and just have access to the company's network. And when the company found out about it, they pressed charges or they sued the
hmm
the the person that gave the other person access. And the guy was like, "Wait a minute, but this is my password, my login information. I was the one who gave it to them." And it was like, "Yeah, but that's you just broke a law by sharing your password with them." And so that's like for the company I work for, it's a huge company. Um, they have pretty much everything locked down. I couldn't use Evernote. I can't even use Dropbox. I can't access Dropbox from my company computer. I can only access like OneDrive because they have contract I guess with Microsoft. But let's just say that I gave someone else my password to access company's documents. And then I think in that case I could be prosecuted for that because I shared my password. But so I don't know how the
So
Netflix came into it, but go ahead.
it's almost like but it's still it's closely related to basically the same thing. But so you're describing the difference of sharing your password that if you yourself own versus sharing the password of essentially your stuff that is really owned by your company in that
Yeah.
situation, right? So
Yes.
like I guess the equivalent would be what if I was sharing publicly or I don't know to certain friends my wife's login information, right? Or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
That where
Yeah.
it's not yours. So like or if I'm sharing your login, I have your Libsyn account, Ray. I share it or something to someone, and now they have access to it.
Right.
That's kind of like where you're not in ownership of that login in some level. So I don't know,
True. Yeah.
but the way it's worded, it's so vague and not specific at this point that it
Yeah.
can be interpreted as that possibly. Like, what if all of a sudden Spotify wants to get strict on that or something, and do like like you remember the music industry at one point, man? They were suing everybody. You
Man,
download an
tell me about
MP3,
it.
you get a
Right.
lawsuit. You get a
Yes.
lawsuit. You get a lawsuit. So I mean, it's possible. I think that's the fear. Is because we've seen other examples of stuff like this, but I don't think any of those companies have expressed that that's what they're going to do. This is just kind of like the law as it stands, but I don't know, man. It's interesting. So are you? So you're a federal criminal right now, Ray? You're a federal criminal?
Well, I mean, according to this, I just might be. Who knows? I don't know. I don't consider
Uh,
myself
you
one. I mean, I'm
know,
not doing it purposely,
that's like a
but
random thing. I wonder how many laws we an average person is like. How many laws do you think you're breaking right now? I wonder. There's probably a handful of like city ordinances that you don't know you're breaking, or
right. I had
uh,
some. A couple of weeks ago, I forgot to put like our. So we have a baby bathtub, a little baby bath, and our daughter, our youngest, is too big for it now. And so my wife stuck it by the back door for me to put out for trash day. I forgot to put it out, so I went and I dumped it in like our local school. I just put it in their dumpster. Like
oh,
I didn't throw it in a ditch. I didn't throw it on the side of a street. I didn't litter. I
you
put it
used
in a
another
dumpster.
person's trash can.
Right, exactly. And so I mean that may have been breaking a law because I mean there's clearly a sign that says no dumping, but I'd consider dumping like if you just take your stuff and just dump it there, not if you neatly put it in the trash can and close the lid back, right?
you neatly. I was so neat about it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Oh no, it's just I was just thinking about that. Like that's something. I'm sure there's a handful of things. Technically, I drove around without my registration in my car for a couple. Like my card tags were due in June, and we
Hmm.
paid them, got the tags. I just hadn't put the sticker on right away,
Oh yeah.
and it was a couple of days into July. I'm like, oh, I got to put this sticker on, and it was actually still sitting in the house, my car registration. So like probably 3 or 4 days. Well, it was like probably the day before 4th of July, so 3 days. I technically didn't have registration in my car. You know what I mean? You're supposed to have your license and registration in there, and I didn't have my sticker on the license plate.
Right.
I probably technically could have got pulled over, I guess, but
Yeah. I don't know.
breaking the law, man.
And then like you always hear about these weird laws in like different little cities and states, and you're like, wait,
Oh
how is
yeah,
that a law?
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. I don't
never
know.
know. I just thought it was like an interesting thought. I was just like, oh, I don't know, man. You're probably breaking more than you even knew. But if
Yeah.
you're sharing passwords now, just be a little cautious, I would say. And tying in with that whole hacking thing, there was a little article about it was specifically about D-Link webcams being vulnerable to hacking,
Yeah.
but it's I kind of just equate that to all Internet of Things devices, IoT. Anything in your house, like if you have a coffee maker that connects to the internet, a Nest thermostat, a door locks, all of these are, they connect pretty much straight to your router via Wi-Fi, and it's kind of like a potential point of um, access, I guess you would say, from the outside. I mean, these devices are new. They might not have all the same level of security technologies, encryptions, and different aspects to make them as secure as possible. A lot of these are just, they're coming on the market fast. They're on everything, and I think a lot of these things are going to be susceptible to hacking on some level. And so I kind of look at these as almost, you have your house, so many doors, but every time you add one of these devices, you're adding like another door, another access point that someone can use a D-Link webcam to maybe hack to get access to your network, which gets them access to the rest of your computers. Which what I mean? It's like this little doorway. So it's just another thing to think about. As we become more connected, people are becoming more connected to technology, and now technology is every piece of technology is being separately connected.
Right.
um, you're gonna have stuff all around you that has potential to leave you vulnerable on some level.
Yeah, and speaking of that, when you were talking about the Internet of Things, that's how Target got hacked. You remember that big hack that happened with Target, where like 30 million people there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So from what I understand, I could be wrong about the specifics, but it was either a refrigerator or like
That just sounds funny though.
right. It was a
Yeah,
refrigerator
I
that
can
they
believe it.
sold or something like that that was connected to the internet that hackers were able. So from what I understand, this refrigerator, maybe a washer dryer, had internet access. It was connected to Target's network, basically to give it the internet access, and somehow they went in through that and gained access to Target's to all of this information. So yeah, they hacked it via. So I just googled it, and it says they used the credentials of a HVAC vendor to get into Target's network, and I think that was through like you know how Target, they don't sell Target refrigerators, they sell different brands, and I think somebody got in through one of those brands refrigerators or
Well, wait.
some
So
type of appliance like that.
an HVAC, that's just heating, ventilating, and air conditioning, right?
Right.
So if that's like a vendor, does that mean okay? So maybe they had is this actually a password sharing issue?
No, no,
When
no,
they
no,
say
no.
credentials?
No, I don't think it's a
Oh,
password
okay.
sharing
Well,
issue. I
okay.
just think it
Sometimes
was just left
credentials
vulnerable.
is that generic term for username and password. So I'm just
Right.
wondering if someone got the access to the credentials of that person. But yeah, um, I don't know, man. You just got to be careful.
Yeah.
It's a lot of this stuff. Like I said, these companies are building these, and they're not necessarily like a refrigerator manufacturer is not probably if they have like a little TV monitor that connects to the internet for Netflix and stuff or whatever, they might not be considering the security ramifications of it. Now, a lot of these you still need a physical connection. Like you might have to touch the device to maybe get access to it. But I've heard something like, those little doorbells with the webcams
Yeah.
that are out. That those are outside your house that someone could walk up to potentially and tinker with it to
Right.
maybe get the connection to, because obviously it's probably connected to your internet. So that was one. I'm sure there's a bunch of them, but that's kind of the. I just wanted to bring that up. I thought it was like an interesting thing. It's almost just like a be aware that all these devices that connect to the internet are access points.
Yeah. So I'm reading this article and it says blah blah blah. According to the company's homepage, look like Fazio Mechanical also has done refrigeration and HVAC projects for specific Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, BJ's wholesale club locations in Pennsylvania, Maryland, Ohio, Virginia, West Virginia. So yeah, I mean, it has something to do with some type of refrigeration and HVAC company. I just know that they didn't actually hack Target. They went in through there, which, like you said, each thing you have connected to the internet is like a doorway. And so Target had all of these doorways, and they just found a door that was easy to get into and got into Target's network. So the same thing could happen to a family. That doorbell that have Wi-Fi, that camera that you may have outside, to where wherever you are, you can look in and see what's going on inside or outside your house. All of those are doorways that let people in potentially,
Yes, sir. So
literally,
yeah,
literally doorbell and doorways.
literally,
All right.
virtually, technically, and electronically.
Right, right, right. Well, Nathan, hey man, I think we've covered a strong 5 or 6 topics here. What about you? How do you feel about today's episode?
Pretty good. It's a nice little mix, and we're constantly developing the show. We're adding the live. We're still perfecting the live. There's issues I gotta get worked out.
Yeah.
Once that's technically done, we want to keep building on the show. So this is going to be the foundation. We want to get guests on the show and find ways to get people live stream on that. And we want to get me and Ray's different thoughts and personalities and perspectives on the show. I know, Ray, I'm excited to hear what you have to say kind of about. I know you have a passion for how your kids use technology and stuff like that. So look forward to hearing about that. But yeah, today's episode, it's a pretty expansive episode. I enjoyed it.
Yes, sir. Well, if you want to give us feedback, we definitely want your feedback. So you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. We're at Family Tech Guys. If you want to reach us, I am Ray at FamilyTechGuys.com, and Nate is Nathan at FamilyTechGuys.com.
Yes, sir. And
All
yeah,
right.
just follow me on Twitter at TechGuyNate or Ray at I am Ray Brown. I like Twitter's my favorite social network. I like the quick interactions. Text message. Keep it short, man. Keep it short.
Yeah, I'm a lurker on Twitter. I need to start posting more. I'm very active on Snapchat, but yeah, I don't know. I do need to use Twitter more. But in any event, thank you so much for listening. Every household needs a tech-savvy parent. You should be your household's tech-savvy parent. Whether you're a parent or not a parent, you should be your household's
We
tech.
got it.
Right? All right. Take care, and thank you so much for listening. Catch you next week.